The bathroom mirror fogged
Here,
with steam as I
let
brushed
me
my
help you
teeth,
with that.
exhausted from another 12-hour shift at the hospital. My reflection stared back, dark circles, disheveled hair, the face of someone running on fumes and instant coffee. I turned off the faucet, and that's when I heard it. A soft, trembling breath that wasn't mine. My heart stopped. There, in the corner by the shower, partially hidden behind the pale blue curtain, stood a woman. She couldn't have been more than 30, with matted blonde hair falling across her hollow cheeks and eyes that held a lifetime of fear. Her clothes were torn and dirty, hanging loose on her skeletal frame. Our eyes met in the mirror's reflection, and I watched her lips form words that would change everything. "Please," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Can I stay for one night?" Every instinct screamed at me to run, to call the police, to demand answers. This was my home, my sanctuary, and a complete stranger had somehow gotten inside. But something in those desperate eyes stopped me cold. I'd seen that look before, in the emergency room, in the faces of people who'd run out of options, out of hope, out of everywhere else to turn. I slowly turned to face her, my hands gripping the edge of the sink. "How did you get in here?" "The window." She gestured weakly toward the small bathroom window I always left cracked open. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know where else to go." My mind raced through possibilities. Was this a setup? A robbery? But looking at her, really looking at her, I saw no weapons, no malice. Just bone-deep exhaustion and terror that seemed to radiate from her very soul. "Are you in danger?" I asked. She nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. "He'll kill me if he finds me. I've been running for 3 days. I haven't eaten. I haven't slept. I just need one night. Please. Just one night to rest, and I'll be gone before you wake up. You'll never see me again." Every true crime podcast I'd ever listened to echoed warnings in my head. Don't let strangers into your home. Trust your gut. Protect yourself. But my gut wasn't screaming danger, it was breaking for this woman who'd climbed through a bathroom window as a last resort. "What's your name?" I asked softly. "Sarah." "I'm Emma." I took a deep breath, aware that I was about to make a decision my friends would call reckless. "Sarah, I'm going to make us some tea. Then we're going to sit down, and you're going to tell me what's happening." "Okay." The relief that flooded her face was almost painful to witness. She nodded frantically, sliding down the wall until she was sitting on my bathroom floor, hugging her knees to her chest. 20 minutes later, we sat at my kitchen table. Sarah wrapped her hands around a mug of chamomile tea, the warmth seeming to thaw something inside her. Between sips, her story tumbled out in fragments. An abusive husband. Years of escalating violence. A final beating that left her with cracked ribs and the certainty that the next one would be her last. She'd fled with nothing but the clothes on her back, hitchhiking across state lines, sleeping in gas station bathrooms, terrified to go to shelters because he had connections, people who'd tell him where she was. "I know this sounds crazy," she said, staring into her tea. "I know you have no reason to believe me or help me. But I saw your light on, saw the medical journals on your windowsill, and I thought maybe a nurse or a doctor would understand." "I'm a nurse," I confirmed. "And I do understand. I'd seen women like Sarah in the ER more times than I could count. The ones who came in with accidents that formed patterns. The ones who flinched when anyone moved too quickly." I made her a sandwich, which she devoured like she hadn't seen food in days, which she probably hadn't. As she ate, I wrestled with what to do. I could offer her the couch for the night, but then what? One night wouldn't solve anything. It would just delay the inevitable. "Sarah," I said carefully, "there are resources. Domestic violence shelters with security, legal aid, people who can help you start over safely." "I tried," she whispered. "Everything's full. They put me on waiting lists. I have no ID, no money, nothing. He destroyed my documents, controlled everything. Without identification, I can't access most programs. I'm invisible." The system's failure stared at me from across my kitchen table, wearing Sarah's haunted face. That night, I set her up in my guest room, a space I'd been using for storage, filled with boxes I'd been meaning to donate. As Sarah showered, I heard her crying through the bathroom door, the sound of someone finally feeling safe enough to fall apart. One night became 2, then 3. I called in favors from social workers I knew, made dozens of phone calls, pulled every string I could find. Getting Sarah new identification papers, connecting her with a shelter that had an opening, helping her apply for emergency assistance, it was like navigating a maze designed to keep people lost. On the fourth day, I came home to find Sarah had cleaned my entire apartment and made dinner. "You don't have to do that," I told her. "I know," she said, her eyes clearer than they'd been. "I want to. You saved my life, Emma. You didn't have to believe me. You didn't have to help me. Most people wouldn't have." "I think more people would than you'd expect," I replied, though I wasn't entirely sure I believed it. 2 weeks passed. Sarah started looking like a person again instead of a ghost. Color returned to her cheeks. The constant fear in her eyes began to fade. We'd gotten her a spot in a long-term shelter with counseling services and job training programs. Her departure date was set. The night before she was supposed to leave, we sat on my couch drinking hot chocolate. "I've been thinking about that night," Sarah said. "When I climbed through your window. I was at the end. If you'd turned me away, I don't know what I would have done." "I almost did turn you away," I admitted. "I was scared. But you didn't." "Why?" "I thought about it, really thought about it. Because I kept imagining if it were me. If I were desperate and terrified and had nowhere to go, I'd want someone to take that chance on me. To see me as a person, not a problem." Sarah left the next morning with a bag of clothes I'd helped her pick out from donations, phone numbers for support services, and a promise to stay in touch. As I watched her walk away toward her new beginning, I felt something shift inside me. 6 months later, I received a letter. Sarah had gotten a job as a receptionist at a law firm. She'd filed for divorce, which was being processed. She was in therapy, rebuilding her life piece by piece. "I think about that night in your bathroom all the time," she wrote. "How one moment of kindness created a ripple that changed everything. I'm going to pay it forward. I'm going to be the person who says yes when someone needs help. Thank you for teaching me that humanity isn't dead, it's just waiting for us to choose it." I kept that letter in my scrubs pocket, pulling it out on hard days when the emergency room felt overwhelming and the world seemed too broken to fix. Because Sarah was right. Kindness creates ripples. One night can become one life saved, which becomes one person inspired to help another, which becomes a wave of compassion that reaches farther than we'll ever know. We can't save everyone. We can't fix every broken system or solve every problem. But we can open the door when someone knocks. We can offer one night, one meal, one moment of dignity to someone who needs it. And sometimes, that's enough to change everything.